Is there a different attitude to breastfeeding in Thailand than there is in the UK?
I actually see more formula here.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have to say, you know, obviously you've got your little son there, Shay, who's 4.5. Why did you feel the necessity to be so public? And a lot of people say that's absolutely fantastic, but also then, you know, you've gone further with the YouTube site.
Yeah, I felt that in order to normalise breastfeeding, it had to be shown. And YouTube is such an amazing medium. So many people watch YouTube. I just thought it was a great medium to really show what feeding an older child looks like and to normalise it.
And also you say that here, sort of in Western culture, that we have sexualised breasts. So we see them just with one sole purpose, when actually that's not the case.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sure, we can feel sexual pleasure in our breasts, but their primary biological function is to breastfeed a child.
You've done your own research, so what have you found out?
About?
Breastfeeding children.
Pretty much all positives. I couldn't see any negatives. I couldn't see anything that made me feel like I would want to stop before my son was ready. I mean, we could speak for an hour on the benefits of breastfeeding, but the nutrition, the mental and social, the emotional, just the showing them that you are physically there for them, like when they're upset, and you can respond to them in a way that really calms them and makes them feel secure. Like, really nothing beats that.
I think so. We've discussed breastfeeding a lot on this show, obviously, but I think that where you peak interest is when it goes up to 4.5 and up to the age of 8. So that does seem to be really rather old to breastfeed your child.
It does, compared to what we see in our society, which is generally women stopping around 3 months, 6 months. I mean, there's a very small percent of women in the UK that are still feeding at 1 year, so it is very unusual, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not optimal when you do this natural term weaning, and it can go up to 8, it can be 7, it could be 4. My friend's little boy stopped at 4.25 of his own accord. But it's more about the mouth, the shape of the mouth that changes at a certain age, and then they're not actually able to latch on anymore. So that is kind of the biological cut-off point.
Do you wonder whether when he goes to... he's homeschooled at the moment, isn't he?
He is, yes.
So that he's homeschooled, not mixing with that many other children in that sort of school environment. He could breastfeed until he's 8. That he's going to be so attached to you that future life is actually going to be quite tricky. He's going to be what they used to call a mummy's boy.
I see it the other way round, actually, because I think independence, true independence, comes from meeting a child's needs fully, and then when they're ready to move away from you, they do so with ease rather than with resistance if you try to push them away earlier.
OK, all right, Sophie, you make a fair point there. Dr Zoe, you're here. Nutritionally, benefits, health, where do you stand on this?
So from the age of 2, there are definitely no nutritional benefits to breastfeeding a child. The World Health Organisation says up until the age of 6 months, the ideal situation for mothers that can is to exclusively breastfeed from 6 months to a year, weaning, and then there are likely to be some slight benefits between the ages of 1 and 2, mostly around immunity. But from the age of 2, there are no benefits nutritionally. Unlikely to be any harm either, although some studies have shown there might be a slight increased risk of dental decay because of the way that the child latches on. I guess the question really is, are there any social detriments to the child? And I think it is a family's own choice, it's a mother's choice. In this country, we expect by school age a child to be able to feed themselves, to be able to go to the toilet independently, and also to be able to spend a day without being reliant upon their parent. So breastfeeding beyond that, unless you have a set of circumstances similar to Sophie, where she is homeschooling and she's with her child all the time, would usually, you know, prevent that from being a possibility.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Thank you. If you enjoyed that, there's more of the same right here. And make sure you subscribe so that you never miss the best moments from this morning.